Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the IHI Call Days, Call 8, Topic 4, on modeling regulatory sandbox, patient-centered clinical study endpoints derived using digital health technologies. My name is Sergio Martin, and I will be moderating this session today. I have with us today Angelica Valente, who is the Scientific Project Officer at IHI, and she will be in charge of introducing the rest of the speakers. Before we start, I will like to let you know that this session is being recorded, and we will publish the slides and the recordings in the IHI website. The call will be launched shortly, and all the links and details of how to apply will be published in the IHI website and in the funding and tenders portal. If you want to ask questions, please do not hesitate to use the chat box because this is a unique opportunity to ask questions to the topic writers. So without further ado, I will, please, Angelica, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergio. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is My name is Angelica Valente, Scientific Officer at the IHI. Today I will present the webinar on the Call 8 Topic 4. I will start with a brief introduction to our IHI program. Then it will be the Call 8 presentation, the Call 8 Topic 4, presented by the lead of the Pre-Identified Industry Consortium, Brett Ober. And then I will continue explaining the proposal submission and evaluation, and then some tips for writing a successful proposal. Today, we will not cover rules and procedures, but these have been already presented at the beginning of the week, and you can see in the slides the presentation link and also the recording. So innovative health initiatives. So IHI is a European Union partnership in health between the European Union, represented by the European Commission, and the Healthcare Industry Association. We have COSIR in medical imaging, radiotherapy, health ICT, and electronic medical industries. Then EFPIA, including Vaccine Europe, the pharmaceutical and vaccine industries. We have also Europa Bio in biotechnology industry and the MedTech Europe, the medical technology industry. We have three general objectives in IHI. First of all is to turn health, research and innovation into real benefit for patients and society. Also, our goal is to deliver safe, effective health innovations that cover the entire spectrum of care, from prevention to diagnosis and treatment, particularly in areas where there is an unmet public health need. And also, another important objective for us is to make Europe's health industries globally competitive. Our IHI projects are created via open and competitive calls for proposal, like indeed the Call 8 Topic 4 that we will explain today. The cross-sectorial public-private partnership is a fundamental element in our program and in all of our projects. Indeed, contribution comes from industry partners, from the IHI Industry Association, the one mentioned previously, and if relevant, contribution may come from contributing partners, but this must be approved prior by the IHI Governing Board. Then the public funding are coming from the European Commission under the Horizon Europe program. Our strategic research and innovation agenda focus on the cross-sectoral approaches to facilitate the creation of new products and services to prevent, intercept, diagnose, treat and manage diseases and foster recovery more efficiently. The goal is to lay foundations for development of safer and more effective healthcare products and solutions that may respond to unmet public health needs and that can be implemented into the healthcare system. An important concept is that our research supported by IHI should remain at a pre-competitive level. And at the bottom of the slides, there is a link if you want to read more on our research, strategic research innovation agenda. So how does IHI works? Call 8 Topic 4 is a two-stages call. We have a single stage and two stages in IHI. This particularly is two stages and is divided into phases. So the topic text in a two stages call is written by the pre-identified industry consortium. Then the topic texts are approved by the IHI governing board as part of our annual work program. After that, the call can be launched and the applicant consortium like academia, hospital regulators, patient organization, SMEs, mid-cap entities can form this applicant consortium and write together the short proposal of about 20 pages. This is actually the first stage of this procedure. And this will go through an evaluation process. We will have a panel of experts who will evaluate all the applicants, all the proposals received, and they will, at the end of the results, will be a ranking list of proposal. Only the first one in this ranking list will be invited to merge together with the pre-identified industry consortium and write together the full proposal under the stage 2. This will also go through an evaluation process by an independent panel of experts. The results, of course, will not be a ranking list as we will have only one proposal, but the results will be a go or no go decision. If the proposal, the panel of experts will decide for a go decision, the proposal will be invited to the granting phase. So negotiating and signing the grant agreement. There will be also the signature of the consortium agreement and then the start of the project. I will now give the floor to Brett Ober to present specifically the topic 4. Brett, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Angelica.
Let me know the slides.
Okay, I will. Thank you. My name is Brett Hauber. I am the patient preference lead at Pfizer, and Pfizer is leading this particular topic on behalf of FPA. Well, we're on the title slide. I wanted to point out a few key things in the title itself that really get to what this is all about. And the first is that this is patient-centered, meaning that in the end, our goal is to incorporate the patient voice. It is focusing on digital health technologies, and in particular, digital health technologies regarding how a person feels or functions, and using those digital health technologies as endpoints in clinical studies and other clinical decisions. So we can go to the next slide, please. The challenge that we have identified is that we have 3 related disciplines that we would like to bring together to address the issue of patient-centered endpoints measured using digital health technologies. So we want to combine information, 3 types of information that come from 3 different disciplines together to solve a specific problem. And that is to understand what evidence is required to demonstrate that a digital health technology derived endpoint captures what is meaningful to patients. Currently, there is no unifying framework that brings together all 3 types of information, whether or not we have that end goal in mind. Among these 3 disciplines, or I should say inconsistent crossover, because there is indeed some. If we can go to the next slide, please. The reason we need a public-private cross-sector collaboration is our ultimate goal at the end of the project is to have a unified framework that brings these multiple types of patient-centered information together, that is consensus-based, and that will ultimately support how we use digital health technology derived endpoints to demonstrate therapeutic benefit from the patient perspective. So as I mentioned, there is not as much crossover, I think, as we would need to be able to do this currently. That's why we want to, this project is being developed in order to bring these things together. There are also, in addition to the conceptual silos between the three disciplines or three types of data, we also have multiple stakeholders here, which are patients and patient groups, regulatory authorities, HTA bodies, health technology and therapy developers, as well as others for whom these data are used in decisions. So in order to ensure that we're bringing the right people together from across disciplines to serve the needs of the decision makers who will ultimately use this evidence, this really requires a collaboration among multiple research disciplines and stakeholders. If we can go to the next slide, please. So in the scope of the topic, there really are three primary items: a framework, recommendations, and case studies. And the framework is meant to be the overarching framework, for lack of a better word, that brings all of this together in a unified fashion and a central location. The recommendations are, in a sense, a level of implementation or how we implement the framework, and provides recommendations for four specific areas. There could be more, but these are the key four in the topic text. And then the first is using patient preference information and clinical outcome assessment data together. They are related, they are often described interchangeably, however, they are different concepts. So reconciling that concept is a key step in the unified framework. The second is to understand the relationship between clinical outcome assessments and digital health technology derived endpoints. Again, putting together two of the pieces of the three types of information. The third is how we use digital health technologies to collect patient preference information and clinical outcome assessment data. And if in the topic text, we allude to the idea that new technologies are going to enable us to collect these data in new ways, and those novel technologies are going to require that we view the data differently. So we need to address that question as well. And then finally, how do we bring it all together to say that this information, when brought together, demonstrates that a digital health technology derived endpoint does or does not demonstrate patient-centered therapeutic benefit. We can go to the next slide, please. So the second level of implementation of the framework, the first being the recommendations, and then the second here is the use cases. There are four use cases that are specified in the by disease area in the topic text. The first is in pediatric radiation oncology. The second is in lung cancer. The third is in non-motor and motor symptoms in Parkinson's disease. And the fourth is in the area of obesity. So the topic text requests one use case in each of those areas. When we look at the set of use cases together, we hope to see a range of digital measurement domains, whether that be items such as fatigue or activity or sleep or anything that could be measured using digital health technology regarding, again, as I mentioned before, how a patient feels or functions. The set taken together of case studies should address differences between passive and interactive digital health technologies. Should include a range of patient ages. We have one pediatric topic, but that does not mean we cannot include pediatrics in the others, and it also doesn't mean that we are not also interested in older patients or a full range of patient ages. Likewise, within and across the case studies, we want to address issues related to diversity in patient populations. And then the overall goal of the use cases is to demonstrate how and explore how we can practically bring these types of information together. And not necessarily, and most likely not bringing these together into a single measure, but bringing them together through the framework into a holistic way of viewing, of demonstrating the patient-centeredness of digital health technology derived endpoint. The data from these three different disciplines and these three types of data are in different formats. They're collected differently, they measure different things, and they are analyzed separately almost all the time. So part of the challenge will be, how do we bring these data together? And that is likely going to require using new techniques. And this is particularly where data structure, data standards, common data models, and then in terms of analysis, using new technologies such as large language models and artificial intelligence may be appropriate. So we need to figure out at a very practical level how we bring these things together, and the use cases are an opportunity for us to explore that. If we can go to the next slide, please. So when we think about the expected outcomes of the topic, the unifying framework, including the recommendations, is the grand outcome. We expect to have, as I just alluded to on the previous slide, new methods for collecting and analyzing these types of data. Also, as part of this in the topic text, there is a specification that there be engagement with stakeholders, regulators, patients, HTA bodies, other stakeholders who would ultimately be using this information. So part of what we hope to achieve here is that through the framework, we will also develop not only a framework for bringing the data together, but also for engaging with stakeholders in the process. Ultimately, I should say penultimately, getting acceptance among stakeholders, which would involve having stakeholder involvement in the development, but then something like a qualification opinion and endorsement, adoption, some type of affirmative acknowledgement from stakeholders would be a key outcome of this study. And then ultimately, we hope that this would be actually implemented and used in regulatory and reimbursement decisions. Go to the next slide, please. So this is likely, we hope, to have broad impact. So from an academic perspective and a conceptual perspective, understanding the relationships of these types of data so that we can provide greater insight into the patient perspective in health. The second is somewhat more practical, and that is reducing the uncertainty surrounding what is required to demonstrate that these digital health technology derived endpoints can be used in clinical studies. The framework for engagement, we hope, will facilitate more efficient engagement between industry and stakeholders in the development of these digital health technology endpoints. And development of innovative therapeutic technologies, because this gives us another way to measure outcomes. Ultimately, the goal of all of this is to improve healthcare for patients, provide improved access to innovations that meet patients' needs, and to provide data that informs all level of the healthcare. We can go to the next slide, please. So we have 11 industry partners as part of the industry consortium. We have 2 contributing partners. These were input from multiple countries in the EU and outside the EU as well. And outside the EU, we have representation from the US, Canada, the UK, Turkey, and maybe others. I'm sorry, I don't have the list right in front of me at the moment. But in addition to Europe, we have input from many other countries as well, in an effort to have the greatest reach that we can have, particularly with regard to engagement with stakeholders. We can go to the next slide, please. So the industry consortium in developing this topic text has already made their commitments. And the commitments include multiple types of contributions. You know, the first 2 are really, but this data. The second, or the third item here is really about methodological expertise in both the science related to the types of data as well as the application of the data in clinical development. The 4th bullet here is bringing the expertise or experience in engaging with stakeholders to date and the understanding of those interactions between the stakeholders, and then also data platforms, digital tools, and other types of technology for both data collection and analysis. Then if we go to the next slide, please, for the expected contributions from the applicants. The first is practical experience in managing a project of this magnitude, as well as experience in engaging with stakeholders. And then with regard to expertise, which is really one of the core elements of the applicants, would be expertise in the measures themselves, clinical study design, because we will be ultimately applying these as clinical study endpoints, health technology assessment and economic evaluation because of the HTA stakeholders, the public health impacts, so not just the impact of therapeutic technologies on an individual group of patients, but what that may also mean for the larger public, as well as the advanced data management and analytic techniques, again, including large language models and artificial intelligence, to contribute to the bringing together of all of these data, both in terms of the management of the data and the analysis. 2 of the other required scientific partners first are academic medical centers, because that can be involved and direct the use cases, as well as partners who contribute to the clinical case studies, particularly with regard to digital health technology measurement and tools. And if we go to the next slide. So just general facts. The expected financial contribution from the IHI is about €12.5 million. and that will be matched with in-kind contributions from industry of approximately 9.5 million euro and in-kind contributions from contributing partners of nearly 4 million euro. We expect that this will be a 5-year project, and we expect that it would begin at the end of that process that Angelica has already shown, probably around September of 2025, and then would go for a 5-year period from there. So if we can just show the last slide, I will turn it back to Angelica.
Thank you, Brett. I will now explain the proposal submission and evaluation. So regarding the documents that the applicant has to prepare, there is the part A of the proposal, which is the administrative data, and is entered in the web form through the funding and tender portal. Then there is the part B of the proposal, which is the narrative part and includes 3 sections. In being a 2-stage call, the first stage of 2 stages call, this part B is only 20 pages and includes the excellence, the impact, and the quality and efficiency of the implementation. And I would invite you to read the instruction in the proposal template very carefully, because you will see there will be some information deeply explained at this stage, other information that will be needed to be explained when you will form the full consortium at the 2nd stage. Then there will be the annex, the participant type. Regarding the evaluation criteria, so once we set the panel of experts, they will assess all the proposals submitted under this topic against 3 specific criteria: the excellence, the impact, and the implementation. For the excellence, they will assess the clarity and pertinence of the project objectives and the extent to which the proposed work is ambitious and goes beyond the state of the art. They will also assess the soundness of the proposed methodology. For the impact, the panel of experts will assess the credibility of the pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and the impacts specified in the work program, and the likely scale and significance of the contribution due to the project. For the implementation, the expert will assess the quality and effectiveness of the outline of the work plan and the capacity and role of each participant and the extent to which the consortium as a whole brings together the necessary expertise. Some tips to apply. As I said, the call text is the reference, the most important reference document to prepare your proposal. Read all the call-related materials, and here we put the link. The first link that you find in the slides is the link that goes to the topic text. Once you form your applicant consortium without the private industry, start thinking about this public-private partnership already from the very beginning, because it will be an important element that will be assessed at the 1st stage and then at the 2nd stage. Ensure that all information requested in the call text and the proposal template is provided to allow the evaluation expert to easily assess your proposal against the evaluation criteria that I have just mentioned. Then consider and plan for the potential regulatory impact of your results. Here there is a guide for the applicant, the link for a guide for applicant and the project consortia on regulatory consideration for IHI project, and useful advice on regulatory issues to consider when you prepare your proposal. Everything is on our website. Regarding the funding project partners, at this stage, you may need to build your consortium, or maybe based on your idea, you may need to join an already formed consortium. In both cases, we will suggest you to network with your contact and even the participant at all IHI Call days. And here, the first link in the slides is to go to B2Match, where you can find participants to all of our webinar days. Another way is to use the EU funding and tender portal to find partners and with using this tool, or to get in touch with your IHI national contact point, explaining indeed your idea and what the status of the development of your application, your proposal. They will redirect to the right actors in the field. Another way is also to network on social media. And here there are two links on our social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, that you can use also to create and to explore the network in the area. So from my side is all. Thank you for your attention. I will give now the floor to the audience if they have a question for the topic writer, to Brett.
Yes, so thank you very much to Brett and to Angelica for this exhaustive presentation. And as my colleague Angelica said, this is the moment for you to ask your questions in the chat box. So I'm going to also invite Brett to put the camera on. We had to turn it off for technical reasons. But hopefully fantastic. Thank you so much. So we have a first question. So the first question is, do we need to have a biopharma company industry consortium in our consortium for the first phase, part A and B of the application? And I will invite our legal officer, Domenico, to also turn on his camera and jump in and answer this question.
Okay, just 1 second, sorry. Checking.
So I will repeat the question. Do we need to have a biopharma company, industry consortium, in our consortium for the first phase, part A and B of the applications?
So this is a two-stage topic. So the industry is already part of the pre-identified consortium. What you can put in the application first and second stage are only the eligible entities which are eligible to participate as beneficiary, and then those who's eligible to receive funding or contributing partner in the second stage, but not generally. The consortium is already pre-identified concerning private members and industry in the text of the code.
Very good. Thank you so much, Domenico. And now we go for the second question, which is, what are the expected open date for of the call 8 and its deadline?
I may take this question. As I explained in my presentation, the call is launched after the IHI Governing Board approval, and we are waiting for this. And hopefully it will be officially accepted at the beginning of next week. So we think that by the end of June, we may have the launch of the call 8 with a deadline, if I'm correct, in October. Now the exact date will depend on the date that the call will be launched, but we expect in October.
Thank you so much, Angelica. And now we go for another question. I previously coordinated the IMI project, CISA QOL IMI, focusing on quality of life and analysis standards in RCTs involving the FDA and EMA. I am now running the SME advising on COA standards and oncology trials. I am interested in whether SMEs can still participate in the new IHI projects and if they are eligible to lead a work package. Maybe
I take the legal part. So SMEs are normally eligible for funding, and are welcome to participate and to be included in applicants consortium. Of course, you need to take into account also where SME is registered in which country. It should be normally EU member states or associated countries. This from the eligibility point of view.
Then I will also say, and then maybe Brett can complement or add more. I would say that the fact that an SME may lead a work package, of course, is based on the requirements of the call and how the applicant would like to address all the requirements of the topic text. So it's really up to the applicant to decide the contribution from an SME, its role in the consortium, and if needed as a leader of a specific work package. I don't know, Brett, if you would like to add something here.
I don't, thank you. I think you've addressed the question.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Another question, and I think this one might be for Brett. So, is there a target of number of patients for the clinical trial?
So, the answer is no. We don't have a target in mind. We've just looked at the use cases as topics, and we would look for the applicants to propose the use cases. In addition, I would like to note that the use cases as we envision them in the topic text are not clinical trials in and of themselves. They're not, at least not interventional. They could be sub-studies attached to maybe an existing interventional study, but the interventional study itself would not be part of this call. We would expect a different type of non-intervention study or survey type study to be done instead of a clinical study.
Thank you very much. And a follow-up question, and is there also a target number for the clinical studies?
So target number is that there will be 4 use cases, again, not clinical studies, but clinical applications, let's say, of in a non-interventional study. There are 4 that are necessary, given the funding for this study or for this project. There could be more. So in terms of number of studies, it would be at least 4. And in terms of number of participants, we would seek input, or we would actually ask the applicants to design their study as appropriate with the appropriate number of people for whatever the study may be.
A question for our legal officer. Can SMEs from the UK take part?
So now UK is an associated country, so it is generally eligible entities from UK. So SMEs from UK are eligible for participating and to eligible for funding. But please, on this aspect, always constantly check our frequently asked questions on IHI website.
Thank you very much, Domenico. Another question. So you expect already existing DHT measures to be used and not to derive de novo digital measures?
Yes, to the extent that they could still be digital health technology measures that are in development, could be further developed in this study. But we just want to make it clear that the objective of this study is not in and of itself to develop a new measure. So if digital health technology that is in development would be appropriate for use in a particular use case, or if the characteristics of that digital technology contribute to the recommendations or any of the other parts of the study, that's perfectly acceptable. The key is that none of the objectives in the topic text are designed for the purpose of the development of a digital health technology itself.
Thank you so much, Greg. Another question for you. Do you consider easy to use EEG devices as potential generators of measures? More general, which digital health devices are you looking to be included in the project?
So we really want to focus on digital health technologies that capture or reflect how a patient feels or functions, because that is where the intersection between these three types of data really comes together. Whereas things that are more like biomarkers would most likely be out of scope for this. And the types of digital health technology, data capture measures or methods is really something we would ask the applicants to determine what is appropriate for achieving the goals and objectives of this project.
Thank you very
Indeed, I would like to comment on this. It's very important that you consider what is written in the topic text requirements, because then the expert will be requested to check if the proposal address all the requirements of the topic text. So if something is not specifically mentioned in the topic text, it's really up to the applicant to convince the expert that with that specific proposal, their idea, the methodology, and everything they put on board, they can really satisfy all the requirements of the topic text. Differently, if something is explicitly mentioned, there it's really specified the topic text, so without any doubt. Otherwise, the applicants is free to address the requirements as they best.
Thank you very much, Angelica, for complementing. I don't see any more questions in the chat box, so I would like to encourage you to start writing your questions and take advantage of this unique opportunity of asking the topic writer. In the meantime, I would like also to encourage you to use the B2Match platform to look for your partners. Remember that you have to make yourself available, and that you have to select the person that you would like to meet, select the date, the time, and finally, just send the meeting request and wait for the reply. Also use the project idea, the marketplace, where you can actually search for project ideas. And still no more questions in the chat. I don't know if maybe Angelica would like to say something more, or
Let's wait another few seconds to see if more question will come. For me, it was important to point out that it's really the topic text, the main document, the main reference document, and if some elements are a bit not really specified in details, this is done on purpose to, as Brett said, to really make the applicant think about and how to address the requirements of the topic text. Read the proposal templates, because there you will see elements that needs to be already deeply explained at this stage, while other elements will be deeply presented in the second phase. Consider that this is a short proposal, so you have 20 pages to sell your idea. That's why it's very important to understand the elements that needs to be presented very well, while other elements need to have just an outline for this first stage. Differently, when you will form the full consortium with the pre-identified industry leaders, and then write the full proposal. So keep these elements very important. So topic text, the proposal templates, and any other elements in our website, like the regulatory link where we explain the procedure of the regulatory path. So also to have some inspiration and ideas for your proposal.
And if I may add, just to reiterate what Angelica said, in the topic text is really the guide, and we've put a lot of effort among the industry consortium to be as clear as we can, and had wonderful guidance and input from IHI in putting this together with that objective. So we hope that the key parameters and then the necessary parameters are clear in the topic text, and then how to address those is what we're really hoping to see from the applicants.
Also, although it's a single, is the first stage, and you will be only the public entities, start thinking already and capture this element in your proposal when you will be together with the pre-identified industry consortium. So start already selling your ideas and in a convincing way for the cross-sectoriality is something really important.
Thank you, both of you, for these gold nuggets. I think I see another question in the chat. It's, do you have to be in a consortium?
Yeah, yes, there is actually the eligibility criteria is to have at least 3 members, 3 applicants in the consortium. So yes, of course, it's not a mono-beneficiary call, this one.
If I can complement what Angelica just said, 3 applicants from 3 member states or associated countries is the minimum requirement to participate to the call. From a formal point of view, this entity will just apply, will just submit a single application. Then, legally speaking, they are not yet in a consortium. They will form a consortium together with the pre-identified entities once the grant agreement is in preparation. So during the grant agreement preparation, there will be also a specific document to be signed, an agreement to be concluded, which is the consortium agreement. But this on a later stage and only if the proposal is selected for funding.
Another element I would like to add, having this question, do you have to be in a consortium, is important to realize that if you have an idea and you don't have a consortium yet, please check on the slides that I have just presented, because you can join a consortium that is already there, selling your expertise, your experience in the field, and how you may contribute to them, or vice versa. You can use the link provided in the presentation to create a consortium. So starting with your expertise of what you have already, and you can put on the table asking complementary expertise in order to fulfill all the requirements for to satisfy the topic text.
So there's a couple more questions in the chat box. Brett, is there a digital outcome expected that is valid for each disease cohort, or will the outcome of the digital technology be different for the different disease entities?
I would hope, actually, frankly, that they would be different. We haven't specified that, but we'd like to get as broad a range of technologies and endpoints and outcomes as we can, because the larger objective is to bring together 3 types of data. But that would not preclude using a single one across all of the use cases, and I'm assuming that's what this is talking about. I guess we had in mind that there would be multiple, but there is not a requirement that there be a single one used throughout all the use cases or throughout the project as a whole. Indeed, I think we were expecting or hoping that there would be multiple technologies and multiple endpoints.
Thank you for that. And last question in the chat, could you confirm that only one project will be funded by the end of step 2? Domenico?
Yes, I can take the floor, and then I will give the floor to Domenico. Yes, as I have explained before, the first stage, the first phase of the 2 stages call will give as a result of the evaluation a ranking list. then only the first proposal in this ranking list will be invited to merge together with the pre-identified industry consortium, writing the full proposal. We will go through another different evaluation with a different set of panel of experts, and the results of it will be go or no go decision. So the expert may decide that as a full consortium, the proposal does not really work, is not really promising, does not clearly and well address all the requirements of the topic text, so it may be no-go decision, while if everything goes well, it will be good decision and only one proposal will get funded.
I have nothing to add. The platform it's super clear. Just to say that the selected applicants will work together with the pre-identified members. So there is no need for having for selecting more than one proposal.
It's actually part of the structure of the 2 stages call.
Very clear. Thank you very much. So there are no more questions for the moment. We still have some time in case you want to ask your question. And again, I would like to encourage you to use the platform to find the match and find partners. All right, so I guess if we don't get any more questions, we can finalize this webinar. And I would like to thank Bert, and I would like to thank Angelica and Domenico for their contribution and for answering their questions. So thank you to all of you, and I wish you luck with your proposal. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.